It's a great day. My name is Shay Brown, the happy entrepreneur, and welcome to the Happy Entrepreneur Show, the number one business development and revenue focused late night show in the country where we're on a mission. And our mission is to empower. Our mission is to inspire. And our mission really is to provide you, that's right, you, the entrepreneur, with all of the resources that are necessary to execute that big vision you have for the people you were called to serve. And on this particular episode, we have the one and only Angela V. Harris. What's going on, Angela? How are you? Welcome to the show.
Hey Shay, thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you so much for being here. I'm super excited. Now, I know we'll be talking about walking by faith as an entrepreneur, but I know that one of your areas of expertise is leadership, doing leadership coaching and then working with women that are in the technology space. Take a moment. I always ask people to talk about what is leadership because everyone has their own definition of leadership, right? So can you take a moment and when people hear the word leadership, what is leadership in today's world? And maybe how has it changed over the last 5 to 10 years?
Well, first, I'll just start by saying you don't need a title to be a leader, and everyone is a leader in their own right. Just by being able to motivate yourself to get out of bed in the morning, being able to motivate yourself to try something new, or just being able to inspire other people around you. Those are traits of a leader. So don't think if you aren't a vice president, if you aren't a CEO, that you aren't a leader.
So leadership does mean different things to different people. I love how you said that. What about the person listening today says, you know what? I really got to focus on being a leader of myself. Can you share maybe one, two, or three principles that an individual can do first? And we're going to get into women in technology. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into how you help folks who are in technology really grow their business. Gotcha. But I just want to step back and for the person that says, wow, anyone can be a leader. I'm a leader in my home. I'm a leader in my family. I'm a leader in the business. I'm a leader in my community. What are three things that you would say that they could do just to improve their own leadership skills? I know it's unfair because there are different levels and so forth, but do the best you can to frame it for us, please.
I would start by saying to be a leader, you first of all need to understand what your core values and your mission, your personal mission is. Because you can't show up as your best self if you're living inauthentically. So being clear on who you are and making sure that the work you are doing, whether it's in your corporate life or in the community, is truly aligned to your values and work that you're passionate about. Because if you're not passionate about the work because it's not aligning to your values, you're not going to show up as your best self. It's going to drain you. You're going to be depleted. And who wants to devote time to something that they're not enjoying? So first and foremost is being clear on who you are. And I would just say this also just being self-aware, just taking a step back to, assess where you are in your life. You may have started down one career path and pivoting is okay. So taking that time for self-reflection, just to kind of just assess where you are and where you want to go and just close any gaps that you may identify in between.
You know, one of the things that I admire about you, and we just had a chance to meet recently at an event, by the way, is you said, Shay, there's this unique experiences for Black women.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I agree 100%, but I would like for you to share on here what are some of the unique experiences. And ladies and gentlemen, I mean, you can look right below. It's right there in the bio. You can go Google her, which I'm sure you've already done. But let's hear her view of the world. So what are the unique experiences that Black women face in the corporate world?
Right. Well, first I'll just shed some light on why I use the term unique experiences. As a coach, I'm all about, reframing in your mindset. And I feel like challenge has such a negative connotation to it. So I don't want to bring that energy into it. So that's why I say unique experience. Just because something may be a little more difficult or maybe an obstacle doesn't mean that it's not something that you can overcome. So as it relates to unique experiences, I would just say sometimes being the first and the only, being the first woman, being the first Black woman, or being the only Black woman in the room, especially being in technology, which is a male dominated field. When you look at the research over the years, the number of Black women in tech has remained flat at 3% for at least back until 2014, if not further. And honestly, during the pandemic, I believe it dropped to about 2.2%, according to a report by the Anita Borg Institute. So that's a unique experience. oftentimes you are working for colleagues or leaders that have less qualifications than you do. I've been rejected or told no, that I need more experience more times than one. And oftentimes the people that were telling me that didn't have a college degree or had unrelated degrees or experience than I had. I was more than qualified for the job, but still wasn't given the opportunity. You'll see people that simply may be a golf partner or a neighbor of someone get an opportunity, whereas you had to apply, go through all the interviews, do all the things, but they just call up their friend and they're handed the opportunity. I mean, I can go on and on and on, feeling like you have to work twice as hard, feeling like your skills are never good enough, the self doubt that may creep in. So those are some of the unique experiences.
Take a moment because I love what your mission is, right? You said, well, no, Shay, I'm not just saying just to say this. There are three things that need to happen. Women need to be seen, they need to be valued, and then when the value is there, they need to be promoted. Can we talk to the first category? Is what are one or two strategies that a woman can do to be seen? And for those that are out there, by the way, I'm sure this is applicable. She'll frame it for those that may be very very experienced, right? And you're out there, or maybe you're green. You've been doing this for less than 5 years, but you're tuning in like, I've already hit this, Shay. I know what she's talking about. So, what are maybe one or two or three things that folks can do just to be seen? And then we'll come back and talk about, whoa, how do you make sure your value is being
Yeah.
there as well?
Yeah. Well, I think there's actually two aspects of being seen. First is like, how do you see yourself? And you can't show up if you're doubting yourself, if you're selling yourself out before you even get into the room. You're not even putting yourself out there for those opportunities. So first of all, you have to make sure you see yourself. And second is like, I guess, the external visibility. So when you are working in these corporate spaces, making sure that you have the proper relationships with the people to help get you to the next level. One thing I tell all my clients and anyone that I mentor is about the importance of networking. It's really all about who you know and who knows you. And 80% of jobs are landed through networking. So you want to make sure that you have the right social capital. So depending on your level within your career, you want to first and foremost make sure that you have mentors who are going to give you that guidance. And then you also want to have sponsors if you do aspire to rise up to senior levels of leadership within your organization. And over time, your mentor can become your sponsor and they're also essentially advocates for you. So if people aren't seeing you, your mentors and your sponsors can sing your praises so other people do see and know you.
Hmm. What about value? I love the part of being seen. That's so well said. Let's talk about value. How do we, as Black women in the corporate space, and especially in technology, which is one of your jams, although these can be applied, I think, across different areas. How do they make sure that the value their contribution is being valued by those that are around?
Mm-hmm. Self advocacy is first and foremost, making sure that you are advocating for yourself. I know sometimes we are a little hesitant to negotiate our job offer. So you want to make sure that you are negotiating for your job offer. If you are interested in a higher level position or a stretch assignment, just raising your hand, saying like, "Hey, I want to do this, and put me on a plan." So those are two things that you can do as it relates to value. And also, I would say not being afraid to walk away from certain situations. I know within the Black community, we've always been told, get a good job, don't mess things up. You have a good job with benefits, stay there and do what's comfortable, but don't be afraid to walk away. I think there's a Nina Simone quote that says, when respect is no longer being served, don't be afraid to walk away when respect is no longer being served, something along those lines. But if you aren't being valued where you are, you can vote with your feet and go someplace else that will value you. So don't sell yourself short.
Folks are listening and saying, "Okay, Shay, I'm with it. I'm listening. This is right on target." But who is Angela? I mean, can you slow down for a moment and can she tell us a little bit about what is her backstory? Number one, and number two, what was the pivotal moment that she decided? You know what? This is the direction. This is what I'm going to do. This is my calling. So, what's the backstory? Who are you? We want to know,
Yeah.
Angela V. Harris.
Well, backstory is that I spent 24 years navigating corporate spaces as a Black woman in technology. And as a child, I was always fascinated by technology. And I always knew that I wanted to attend college and study technology. However, when I was a child, STEM wasn't an acronym, and I didn't have, I guess, STEM or technical role models growing up. I simply just had my personal computer. So I taught myself to do a lot of things on my personal computer. So I entered college not knowing that I was pursuing a white male dominated field. So that was one thing. I was also a first generation college student. So that was another, thing I had to navigate. So into the workforce, again, being the first, the only, and or both, not having mentors early in my career, not having supportive managers, and also dealing with toxic managers and toxic work situations throughout my entire corporate career. And the fact that I didn't have mentors early in my career is what propelled me to mentorship. As I would see other women or other Black women in my organizations, I would just kind of pull them to the side. And I didn't even realize it was mentoring at the time. I just wanted to have a conversation with them, to get to know them. But I would also just impart, learnings that I had gathered along the way. So I was, I guess, like informally mentoring people. And I've always been passionate about my own personal and professional development. I think it was 2020. I did an assessment, it's like an archetype assessment, and it said my particular type was like a pusher. You're the person that's always supporting and encouraging people. And I'm like, that sounds like a coach. So that kind of got me curious about the field of coaching. So that's how I went down the path of coaching, and I got certified through an organization called IPET, the Institute for Professional Excellence in Coaching, in 2021.
And now today you're doing what you're doing now, and you use the title "Walking by Faith as an Entrepreneur." Why that title?
Well, I say walking by faith because 2022 was a very interesting year for me. I guess it was like a tipping point year for me. I talked about, navigating those toxic work environments and toxic managers, and I kind of hit my tipping point towards the end of 2021. I was involved, well, not involved, but I experienced a very public and, for me, a very traumatic situation that involved my manager and skip level manager at my job. And it just really, it was really my tipping point. It kind of just like sent me over the edge, because it wasn't the first time something like that had happened, but everyone has their breaking point. It keeps happening over and over and over again. You're going to reach your breaking point at some point. And that particular incident has really left me feeling unsettled, literally. Fast forward to February of 2022, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. So that unsettled feeling that I was feeling was literally a 4.4 centimeter tumor that was growing in my left breast. Thankfully, the tumor was caught early, so I had surgery. I went through radiation. But in the midst of all that, I was still navigating that toxic work environment. I was literally dragging myself to work every day. I was unable to show up. I did not feel comfortable. I was just absolutely miserable. And I went to HR just because I just needed some form of relief. And I explicitly told my HR person that I did not feel psychologically safe in my team. And I outlined all the incidents that had occurred that contributed to that. And I said I wanted to be moved to a new team, and nothing was done. Fast forward to September of that year, I was officially diagnosed with work-related depression, anxiety, and PTSD. And leading up to that, I knew that it was time for me to leave, and it took all of that happening to propel me to leave. So that's why I say walking by faith, because I took the leap and just literally quit my job and said, this is what I'm going to focus on, my business full time, and prioritize my mental and physical well being.
Congratulations on taking that step and doing what you're doing now. It's a huge step, and you're out there. And now you're going back into corporate America. Now you're going back into organizations. Now you're going back into nonprofits, and you're sharing what women can do, even and specifically Black women. Although you cross and do both very well. In order for them to be seen, in order for them to be heard. And then you talk about this seen, value, and then you say promoted. I mean, it's like, whoa, with all those obstacles, how does someone get to that promoted status? Take a moment and talk about that.
It takes persistence. Again, everyone has a different path. So promotion may not be in the cards for somebody. I mean, everyone doesn't want to be a director or vice president, but you get to define what success looks like for you. So promotedness might be having that fulfilling career or being able to make that impact in your community, but it's really just getting clear on what success looks like for you. But if it is promotion, again, just giving you the tools to set yourself up to get promoted. And also giving you the tools that once you are promoted to that level, you're able to sustain it. So the importance of having a personal brand, the importance of having a morning routine. So you're living a balanced life. So you don't end up with the work related depression, anxiety, and PTSD.
One of my favorite. Thanks for sharing. One of my favorite questions I love to ask is, on this journey, I know you may have had some mentors along the way, and you might have many mentors throughout your whole life. But I always like to ask the question: which one of the mentors or someone that you had along this journey that's giving you some feedback or giving you some value that you've been able to take, apply it for yourself, and now you're going to share those words of wisdom with us so that we can at least be able to benefit. And you, the audience, I love to ask that question because you get the benefit. You get to lean in every night when we do this, and someone on the other side shares, "Hey, this is an idea that I learned, that it was picked up for me," and pass it on. So I guess the question is, of all the mentors you had, it doesn't matter which one, but what's one idea, I'll say, from any one of the mentors that we could use?
Yeah, I guess the first that comes to mind, I have a mentor by the name of Elena Robinson, and she was a former CIO, a black female CIO, and I remember she would always say, "You have to learn how to navigate around the alligators." And that's essentially one of the tricks to navigating your career is getting around those alligators. So essentially, I feel like that's kind of what I'm equipping people to do within my business is how to get around those alligators.
I love that. I love that. And to get around the alligators, that's some of the things you talked about earlier, or is there something very specifically we can do? And how do we identify there's an alligator out there? I mean, some of these alligators got some masks on. So I'm curious, how do we identify alligators? Is that
Honestly,
even a fair
I
question?
just want to know, and it could be that manager that is, you've had that conversation about promotion, you've done all the things to check all the boxes for the promotion, but they keep coming back saying, "Oh, you're not ready that," or next year. So that could be a potential alligator to navigate around. It could be a colleague that's always this, I guess, questioning you or just, challenging you in everything that you say. So alligators can show up in different forms within your organization.
I know you're recently in the book as well, by the way, and it's a legacy book, and it's talking about navigating, being resilient,
Mhm.
recognizing our greatest achievements. What was one of the reasons you participated in that anthology, and what was one of the messages that you had to share throughout there?
Yes, well, the anthology was published by the Drexel University Black Alumni Council, and I'm an alumna of Drexel University. I graduated with my bachelor's degree in 2002. And again, being a first generation student, being a Black woman in technology, knowing my experience, I'm just very passionate about creating opportunities for the next generation coming behind me. I actually started a scholarship at Drexel in 2017 supporting African American students studying technology. I'm always mentoring students, speaking on panels just because I feel it's important that they see someone who looks like them so they know what's possible. So Drexel is very near and dear to my heart. And honestly, again, I didn't not having mentorship when I was that age. I want to be the person that I needed when I was younger. And the proceeds from that book will support an endowed scholarship that the Drexel University Black Alumni Council has founded. So for me, it just made it was really in alignment with my personal values and my personal mission. And my chapter is called Trust the Process. So it's essentially my life story. I talk about the fact that I lost my mother to cancer when I was 3 years old. My father died from cancer when I was 21 at the start of my senior year in college. How I had a very challenging freshman year, starting out as computer science, not having an official technology background, and how my GPA suffered, how I had all the rejections, but through it all, I learned to trust the process, and that all the times I felt I was being rejected, all the numerous no's that I was told, I was actually being redirected to something that was bigger and better. So essentially, just trying to encourage people just to keep going. Again, trust the process. It might not make sense at the time because honestly, a lot of the things that happened to me didn't make sense at the time. But I've learned that there are no wasted experiences, and everything will come together at the right time.
Trust the process. Trust the process. Trust the process. you can't leave them hanging, by the way. They want the book now. They're like, okay, Shay, I like it. I like the mission, I like the goals, I like the objectives. How do I get a hold of the book? I have no idea. So, tell the name of the book again, and how can folks that want to contribute to the book that does go to a good cause, as I understand as well, how do they get a copy of the book?
So the book is called A Legacy to Share, and they can go to bit.ly/doback legacy and order a copy of the book.
Perfect, fantastic, and the proceeds go to the right place. Oh, you're doing some good in the world. With all you've been through, what does success even look like for you these days?
That's a very good question. It's actually something I was reflecting on actually a couple of weeks ago, just kind of reevaluating given the
Sure.
shift that I've made within my life. And right now, success just looks like having a fulfilling career, which I now do, and also just making an impact, whether it's in my community or through my business. So that's success for me.
I love it. We have a segment here that we do that's called Today is My January 1st. And
Mhm.
today is my January 1st for those folks that tune in every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For those folks that are out there following us on podcasts or online, if you will, just follow us on YouTube, you can go ahead and say those words that you wait to say, which is today is my January 1st. Feels good, doesn't it? Happy New Year to you.
Today is
And for
my
those folks that are
January
new, that are just coming aboard, by the way, today is my January 1st is our personal mantra here at the Happy Entrepreneur Show. It represents a restart. It represents a do-over. It means the past, no matter what the past is, the past no longer equals your future. That's so good. And so my question to Angela on the other side, when she hears those words, today is my January 1st, what does she hear? And what was one of her January 1st moments?
Honestly, Shay, I feel like every day that I wake up this year is my January 1st moment, just given the fact that I closed the door on my 24-year, corporate career and, focused on entrepreneurship full time. And I feel like for the first time, I have that fulfillment that I had been chasing all those years in corporate America. I'm now getting that within my own business and the lives that I've been able to impact and will continue to impact.
I love it. I love something that you had. And you guys were talking to one and only Angela V. Harris, and she said, on her page, you'll see it. But one of the quotes she has from Shirley Chisholm, which is, "Hey, if they don't give you a seat at the table, well, bring your own chair." I was like, "Oh, I love it. I love it."
Well,
What a mantra!
create your own table. That's what I did. I felt like I grew tired of trying to rise, and honestly, it just wasn't fun for me anymore. And I made the pivot into what was truly fulfilling for me. And I don't discredit those 24 years in corporate America. Had that not happened, we wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation today. And it's definitely molded me into the woman that I am today.
Wow. I know you read a lot of good books along this journey of life, and I'm just curious what one book may have had a huge impact for you. And again, it's one of those unfair questions, right? Because someone I want to go look at all my audibles. I can't remember all the books I've read, and you can't use the good book. That doesn't count. It does count, but it's on a place by itself. But any book comes to mind that you read, or Annabelle that you read that you said, "Whoa, Shay, this impacted me, and I want to share it with those folks out there."
That is a really tough question because there have been some books, but I would say one book that I do find myself just referring back to just for, I guess, inspiration and motivation. There's a book called Playing Big by Tara Moore. And it's really inspirational for me because again, I do challenge myself to play as big as I can. So it talks about the concept of the inner critic, but you also have your inner mentor. So it's this really channeling that inner mentor. So when those, negative voices or that self-doubt creeps in, that the inner mentor can kind of silence those voices.
Those words, I love it. First, let me say thank you so much for being on the Happy Entrepreneur Show. You're amazing. You're incredible. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Shay.
And also for all of you out there, thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up. Without you, well, there is no show. And you're here, so we appreciate it. I love to remind you, I love to share because I think it's so important. If you haven't heard it, I want you to hear it right now at 11 o'clock at night, Eastern Standard Time, that you're amazing, that you're incredible, that you've got so much greatness inside you, and that for you, today, because you woke up, today, because you're watching and listening, is your January 1st. And because of that one reason alone, Your best is still yet to come. Your best is yet to come. Your best is yet to come. With that being said, my name, by the way, is Shay Brown, the happy entrepreneur. Make it a great day, everyone. And I promise you from the bottom of my heart, we'll make some good things happen when we connect again next time. Remember, time is long. Life, on the other hand, well, it's very, very short. So you got to live in that moment. You got to make it count. God bless you. Wish you success. Thanks a lot, Angela, for being here. We appreciate it. You're amazing. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
See y'all later. Peace. We out.